Namaste, namaste, precious, precious souls. Welcome to Book of Life live reading. Today we'll be reading from the Science of Soul Travel Part 2, which is the 5th degree, Lesson 11. So before we get started, why don't we do a little invocation and kind of get connected and release all unauthorized connections, all cords. Just go ahead and place your hands in a receptive pose, palms facing up. Place the tip of the tongue on the palate. Just take a nice slow inhalation, exhalation. Get centered in your heart. And to whomever and however you do your invocations, you can go ahead and silently invoke to them. And we will use the Astarian prayer to the Supreme Being, the source and fountain of all life, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, to all of our great, great spiritual teachers, to Holy Master Choa, to Buddha Padmasambhava, to the Circle of Seven, to Robert and Earlyne Chaney, to Burton Bigelow, to Master Astara, Lord Kuthumi, Lord Rama, Lord Zoser, to the Astarian hierarchy, to the Lord Rabbi Yehoshua Bar Miriam, the Lord Christ, to Holy Mother Mary, Lord Kuan Yin Buddha, Lord Gautama Buddha, to all the great, great ones, to our higher souls, our celestial guides, our angel guides. May we be a center for the radiation of thy power. Teach us to travel light, that we may better gain the heights. Break the bonds that bind. Teach us to give ourselves entirely to thy service, to attune ourselves to thy will. Teach us to lay down the small personal life for the greater cosmic life, and to love with the love of God, with thanks and in full faith. Om. Amen. Om. All right. The Science of Soul Travel, Part 2, 5th degree, Lesson 11. The Unlimited Potential. Only a master who has fully developed the causal body would be able to view the true records of the causal plane. In the causal body lies the seat of memory, as you have been told, and only when it is completely developed do you become a master. Only when it is completely developed can you view your causal plane records. A yogi concentrates exclusively upon an object for long periods of time, thus acquiring more information about it than its mere appearance would provide. This type of yogic practice is to be applied regarding the study of the causal plane records. When sitting in meditation, or when experiencing astral out-of-body projection, concentrate intently on the object of your investigation and hold to the intense desire that the records reveal to you some knowledge about the object or situation. Not that you actually send mind power in any given direction to any given locale. Simply hold fast to your wish to investigate from a higher level than the physical. Look from within. Listen and touch from within. Feel from within. Always try to distinguish between what the surface of your mind would like and what the depth of your mind reports are actually true. Let no outer disturbance sway you. Faithful concentration may well bring revelations. In what two ways may I review the Akashic records? You may view the records objectively or subjectively. The objective view is most apt to occur while you are on an astral journey. It may seem as if you suddenly found yourself living in certain surroundings with activities going on about you, with strangely familiar people enacting vaguely familiar scenes. with yourself included in the scenes. It could seem as real to you as your everyday life. An entire lifetime may be enacted with all its struggles, loves, sorrows, and joys. Or the scenes may shift from one life to another, with you always engaging in all the activities. When you regain your normal consciousness, you will vividly recall all that you had witnessed, but it would seem as though you had had a type of vivid dream. You would know, of course, that it was no dream, but a review of the Akashic records. Dreams, however, is the only word that one might understand in connection with the sensation you would experience in this manifestation. This would be viewing the records objectively. They may be viewed subjectively while in deep concentration. The effect may be as if a movie screen was situated just inside your forehead, with the passing incidents viewed through eyes located in the back of your head. Indeed, it may seem as if you yourself are standing inside your own head, watching scenes unroll on a tiny screen of your forehead. Actually, it will be the third eye in action. You may have the sensation of sitting in a theater, watching yourself portray a certain role in a motion picture. You will recognize yourself, of course, but it will feel separate and apart from the self you are viewing. Just as before, you may follow one complete lifetime, or the scenes may change, flashing from one lifetime to another. Though this type of experience bears but little connection with soul flight, it needs to be mentioned in relation to objective viewing of the Akashic records, which can transpire during astral flights. This type of seeing relates to clairvoyance in time, or extended clairvoyance. However, as we mentioned in the beginning, come to these things as a child. Be aware that your first viewings may be incomplete and unreliable. As experience is gained, you may learn to control the scenes you wish to investigate. You may concentrate upon certain ages of time, certain locations or occasions, and come in touch with the scenes you select for observation. But this requires skill. Until then, you are quite likely to skip haphazardly from one period to another with little or no continuity between them. You may find an astral study of historic records to be of vast interest. You may desire revelations concerning lost civilizations and particular personalities connected with them. It certainly may be achieved with intention and patience on your part. However, whether you wish this type of revelation or whether you wish to gain information about your own past lives, a warning is offered. Be extremely cautious about discussing your findings, particularly about your own past lives. It is suggested that you remain silent. What may mark me as being on the wrong track? The mark of one who is off on a wrong track in mysticism is the one who too eagerly proclaims what one was in some previous incarnation. It is extremely unlikely that you can tune in with your own past in your early experiments, even though you may see many scenes moving before your vision. It is extremely important, especially in this particular investigation, to remove from your mind any preconceived ideas as to who you may have been. Try to become indifferent about it, for it truly matters very little. Who you are and what you are today is the important thing to remember. A strong idea or hope on your part as to who you might have been can throw your entire vision of the records out of focus, for you will be forced to view them through the shadow of thought forms created by your own desires. Always view with reservation any psychic who claims to have access to the Akashic records and who is eager to enlighten you about past lives, however sincere he or she may be. One who really can read the records might not reveal his or her findings to you except under unusual circumstances, because they will be wise enough to know it should not be done, unless this information can somehow be helpful to you in your present life. When may I know what my Akashic records contain? Only the wise can gain access to your records, even the astral records, and the wise would know that there must be a useful present-day reason to disclose such information. When you are ready for such knowledge, your own high self will reveal it to you through your own developing awareness, or with the help of a very experienced and credentialed past life therapist. More than likely, your own powers through deep concentration will obtain the information. Remember, first experiences are apt to be as misconceived and out of focus as are the experiences of a child on the physical plane who is learning locomotion and awareness. However, it is imperative for you to understand just how to proceed when you find yourself involved in a spiritual experience such as this. For you might awaken any morning with a vivid recollection of an astral flight, or you might enter a trance condition which, if not understood, could frighten you when it really should be inspiring and wonderful. That is why many times in these lessons we write as if you already had achieved the ability to mingle with entities and teachers on the astral. I know that many Astarians form or join groups to study these teachings together. If you participate in such a group, experiment with some of the ideas presented in these lessons. For instance, each member of the group might practice as operator or subject in attempting to enter the trance state for astral projection, as did Betty and Stuart Edward White. Also, from time to time, some of the mental exercises mentioned might be attempted. Astral projection exercise. We present here an exercise to practice for astral projection or for retaining a conscious awareness of your astral flights. Lie on your back with your feet elevated slightly higher than your head. The blood should be directed to your brain. Cross your hands over your diaphragm or let them rest at your sides. Try to remain motionless. Imagine you are lying on a soft cloud suspended from a balloon, and the balloon is going to rise very gently, carrying you with it. Imagine that it must ascend straight upward toward a star which is so far in the distance it is only a twinkle of light. Imagine that you are coming closer and closer to that light as you gently rise upward. Affirm to yourself that as you approach that star point of light, your consciousness will remember your astral experiences. Affirm that as you arrive at the top of your shaft of ascent to the light, you will rise to your feet and walk out upon the astral plane. You will look around at everything about you. Affirm that you will send back to your brain center all the impressions you receive. Do I have a personal receiving center? If you wish, select a specific place on the astral and direct your consciousness toward it. For instance, you might select astral Astara. Affirm to yourself that as you drift upward in your balloon and reach the light of the star, you will rise to your feet and travel directly to astral Astara. You will project back to the pineal center in your brain all that you are witnessing, so that when you awaken, you will recall through a kind of dream awareness what astral Astara is like. The difficulty is to project yourself into your dream and to remember to impress your conscious mind with the remembrance of your experience. Astral travel, a second exercise. Lie on your back without a pillow, again with the feet higher than the head. Turn off any light. While your eyes are adjusting to the darkness, you may see a background of drifting hazy clouds. In them, flickering scenes may appear. Center your attention upon them and try to bring them into larger and clearer focus. At first, they may simply fade out as your eyes become accustomed to darkness. But with time, you may be able to enhance these scenes into three-dimensional reality. This could be the beginning of an astral journey, since your astrally attuned consciousness may arise from your physical form to participate in the scenes. You should be alone in the room. You should be very certain no one will attempt to rouse you until after you have completed the experiment. If you are suddenly called back to waking consciousness, it may be somewhat of a shock. similar to being suddenly and vigorously roused from sleep. Why is solitude necessary when you experiment? Astral visitation, a third exercise. Another method of experimenting with astral flight is to begin by selecting a person or a location here on Earth as a focal point to which you very intently attempt to project your consciousness through the firm application of your willpower. To engage in this experiment, you may prefer to sit rather than lie down. If so, be sure your chair is comfortable and that there is no pressure or strain on any part of the body. Select a chair with the feet elevated, like a recliner if possible, in which you may completely relax and sit in a darkened room. Make sure no stray lights can enter the room to distract you. Now, turn your attention to your feet, affirming mentally that you will begin to rise from these extremities upward. Direct your consciousness upward from the feet through the entire body till you reach your head. As your imagination reaches the head, inhale deeply. Then exhale slowly, concentrating on Om, and imagine that the real you is slipping out through the head chakra and away from your body. Assume that you are pure consciousness without any physical form, floating in eternity. Picture this condition. Assume it. Believe it. In the beginning, do not be concerned whether it is true or not. Just keep projecting your consciousness upward and outward. Before beginning your experiment, remember you have selected a place or person you wish to visit or a location with which you are familiar. Focus your attention upon, say, a friend's home. Imagine you are floating through space, slowly moving toward your selected location. Now you are at your friend's front door, for example. Remember, give no thought to yourself, your body, your room, but keep focused intently upon the realness of your journey. Mentally open the front door and walk in. See your friend's home vividly. Picture your friend in full detail. Ask yourself, in which room shall I find John? And wait for an answering impression. Act exactly as you would in real life. See yourself approaching him, speak to him. Hello, John. How are you? It is at this point there may flash into your awareness exactly what John is doing, reading in bed, making a sandwich in the kitchen, watching television. Fix your mind clearly on the impression which comes, noting all the details, writing them down, and note the time. Keep this record of your experiments for later verification. What begins as vivid imaginings gradually develops into actual astral visits. It may require a month or a year or longer, but steadfast practice will have its rewards. What are some practical hints for experiments? Suggestions to aspirants. Please never enter any of these experiments as a prank. Attempting conscious flight is a serious undertaking. During the experiment, you may find that a drowsy lethargy steals over you as you rise upward toward the head. You may not realize that your consciousness has actually left your body until you find yourself functioning solely in the mind. That is, you become aware of looking through walls or of being in a distant location. Remain calm. Note what is happening. If you find John occupied in some casual endeavor, attempt to make him aware of your presence. Then depart. Return to your body by willing that it be done. The silver cord connecting you to your physical form is the sure and certain means of your re-entry. It will draw your spirit unerringly back into the body and normal consciousness. Your friend may or may not actually see you. It is more likely that he will think of you suddenly. If you have made prior arrangements with him that a projection is to be attempted at a certain time, then have him plan to be engaged upon some project unknown to your conscious mind. During the experiment, strive to become aware of what he is doing so that the two of you may compare notes later. Never plan on leaving your body without a definite purpose in mind. It is true, many astral visitations are spontaneous with no planned activity connected with the flight, but we are presently discussing deliberate attempts at projection. Always have a plan and a purpose. Go to observe a definite person or place, or to perform some specific altruistic service. It seems superfluous to say that mastering this type of projection requires patience and focus. It is important to remember that the discipline involved requires concentration on all levels of your being, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The ability to become totally conscious of one's thoughts and to eliminate those that would intrude. Become one-pointed. Envision one thing to the exclusion of all others. Visualize your friend John and his home intensely to the point where they stand vividly before the mind's eye. Soul travel during sleep. It is possible to experience complete continuity of consciousness from wakefulness through the sleep state and back to wakefulness again. However, knowledge of your astral experiences during sleep are more apt to be in the form of faint flashes of remembrance which come to you in waking moments. When we return to our bodies after a sleep projection, we descend to a lower rate of vibration. Thus, the soul usually fails to register its experiences upon the physical brain. There is a memory of the mortal and a memory of the spirit. The latter, spiritual memory, can retain and review all essential elements of the lower, but the mortal memory usually does not retain that of the spirit. What is the keyboard of the soul? Two distinct memories, that of the spirit and that of the soul, upon the mortal brain, register separate degrees of consciousness. The soul registers all it can upon the computer of the physical brain, which is the keyboard of the soul. Only as far as its spiritual limitations will permit can the brain respond to soul power or to the influential touch of the spirit. The quality and scope of the registration depends upon its habitual rate of vibration. The brain can only respond to the highest rate of its own evolutionary status. Vibrations go far beyond that limit, and spirit, in turn, responds to them. Thus, spirit consciousness and memory exceed that of mortal persons. During sleep, the soul becomes active in the spiritual spheres. Only spirit is eternal. Matter is subject to change or transmutation. Only spirit is filled with the potency of infinite power. The spirit, ever active, ever conscious in its highest state of vibration, recalls all past experiences and knows of its various expressions through matter on Earth or on other planets. Since the spirit is eternal, the immeasurable past is imprinted on the memory of your inner being. The ever-present is being incorporated into your soul. The incredible future will write its records upon your vibrant life stream. Through your advanced spiritual status, you may begin to respond to astral vibrations immediately after the physical body enters the sleep state. Awakening on the astral, you may become involved in a wide variety of activities. Although you may have attained full coordination of the astral form, you may not have developed the ability to travel through thought motivation. You probably will require the aid of more advanced entities in order to travel with thought speed. Without such aid, you will use your astral feet and legs just as you do on Earth, and you will find that walking becomes an effortless, untiring activity and that you can cover great distances easily. You will find your consciousness to be far more alert and your powers of concentration and comprehension considerably enhanced over that of your waking consciousness. One thing of which you will quickly become aware of is potent impact of your sensations. You will discover that you are subject to the same desires as those in your physical consciousness. For example, any hobbies which you may find yourself doing on the astral. You soon discover that such hobbies are temporarily enhanced and intensified on the astral. Often, when you fall asleep, your concentration may be centered upon decisions you must make concerning physical plane projects. Thought forms created by your thinking and planning may weave an aura which temporarily prevents astral awakening, since your consciousness is temporarily more absorbed in physical plane projects than astral activities. Your mind may not easily awaken to astral surroundings. Often, an earth project may warrant the help of a spirit guide who will impress the astral consciousness with an answer to your problem, a means of working out your invention, or a method by which your immediate project may attain success. But you are far more apt to retain such inspiration and guidance if you awaken on the astral and make a definite contact with entities there who can guide and inspire you. Why do I often waken with answers to my problems? Learning the answers in this way, you often may be able to impress your newfound knowledge on the waking conscious mind. You may retain no memory of how you attained it. You simply may awaken with the answer or you sought. Or at any moment during the day, even though you may be busily engaged in unrelated activities, the solution to a problem may strike your consciousness. You may accept it as an idea which you conceived by yourself. Such may be true. It may have been projected by your high self, or it may have been given by a teacher or guide you encountered on the astral. Unanticipated astral experiences. Since these lessons are sharpening your awareness of the unseen, it is important to speak of the possibility of unanticipated out-of-body experiences. While you are in deep meditation following the practice of Lama Yoga, or while studying or contemplating some particularly meaningful degree lesson, it is possible to suddenly find yourself freed from the body and floating in space. Whatever the method by which you are brought to your first astral awakening, such an experience can be terrifying to the neophyte. Being an initiate, you no doubt will recognize it instantly for what it is. Control any alarm quickly, any attempt to translate accurately the memory of what you are seeing. Before leaving the physical, you may feel yourself becoming faint and temporarily lose consciousness, then regain it floating outside your form. Or you may pass into a semi-conscious state, retaining awareness of the process. You always seem to float out and away from the body. What is the connector between my astral and physical bodies? You may become aware of the silver cord connecting your astral body with your physical, and regardless how rapidly you travel or how far away you go, this cord of electromagnetic substance still remains intact. If this is your first experience of conscious awakening on the astral, you may view your astral surroundings as through a spiraling dense fog of changing colors. Objects, persons, or landscapes may constantly move in and out of focus. The mist may suddenly sweep away to reveal an astral scene in dazzling light. You may discover that you cannot gauge distance. Reaching for a seemingly nearby object, you may discover it actually to be far away. Mirages float before your view, fading, dissolving, or crumbling as you approach. Your hands may appear to be covered by pulsating streams of force. Some practical aids. Learning how to bring the astral scenes into focus is no small task. Achieving one's equilibrium and discriminating between that which is real and that which is on the astral also requires astute adjustments and judgment for the first-time visitor. To accomplish these goals, you must remember first to stabilize your own astral aura. Until you do, the surrounding substances may blend with it, causing confusion and disorder. Mentally, detach your aura from the surrounding forces. Realize that much of what you are witnessing is no more than the outpouring thought forms of human desires. Such discrimination will help you recognize the difference between true astral scenes and the illusory, shifting substance of desire force. Once you have stabilized your auric emanations, you will find your astral vision opening to the true astral scenario, revealed to your increasing perception. You will soon discover that should anything disturb you, you need only turn your thoughts toward your physical form, and this shifting of mental gears will send you swiftly and surely back into your physical body. As such experiences become more numerous, you begin to coordinate your faculties and clarify distortions. You may quickly recognize that you are aided by a being over there. You can be assured that as an Astarian and a student of the Master Teachers, you will never find yourself alone, even though you may not actually see your teacher. You need have no cause for fear. Your teacher may have been attempting just such an experiment for some time. Under no circumstances will you be alone, even though the memory of your teacher's presence may not be retained when you awaken. With practice, you begin to unfold the ability to slip into astral consciousness while still retaining waking consciousness. You may so train your mind that it will expand to embrace both awarenesses. In this expanded state, you may be able to hear the music of the astral spheres, see its inhabitants around you, greet those whom you love, and receive remembered inspiration and instruction from those who are your teachers and guides. You discover that you can pass through doors, windows, and strata of matter. Approaching from a distance, solid walls often appear like mist. You may actually walk through fire, thereby becoming convinced that earthly flames cannot harm the astral form. You may pass directly into the body of the earth itself, proving beyond doubt that the astral body can penetrate physical matter, that it exists, breathes, and moves. Although the thickness of dense matter seems as clouds of smoky soot, stifling and unpleasant, it is penetrable. You discern the presence of immense continents of unresolved nebulae floating between the magnetic forces of stellar systems. You catch a glimpse of bright and beautiful spirits who dwell beyond Earth on far-off radiant zones and aural belts of sublimated substance. When is Earth as a shadowland? You see on the astral plane its mountains and valleys, forests and fields, its sparkling placid lakes, silvery streams, green undulating lawns, incomparable gardens, and the spray of fountains of living water glittering like diamonds. Seems to be of a substance not at all wet, but of an electrical power. You see our earth as the shadow land of phenomena, and Etheria as the real land of permanence. And here we end our searchings into astral projection and Dr. Roberts' direct teachings. We proceed now to the mystery of precipitation, messages written by spirits upon paper, slates, walls, etc. Precipitation, the how of it. Can a message be written by a spirit outside the physical human realm? If so, how could such writings be accomplished? Where might spirits obtain their chalk, pencils, ink, and pens? The book of Daniel in the Bible records such an event. We refer to it simply as the handwriting on the wall. Because it is in the scriptures, one seldom stops to think that it was written by an outside entity, a spirit. King Belshazzar, during one of his revelries, when he and his wives and concubines drank wine from sacred vessels, suddenly saw the hand of a man appear. Immediately, the fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, opposite the lampstand, and the king saw the hand as it wrote. Daniel chapter 5, verse 5. The words inscribed were Min, Tekel, Upharshan. The prophet Daniel later interpreted them to read, God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. You have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Daniel chapter 5, verses 25 through 28. One marvels at the lack of wonderment concerning these psychic manifestations. Seldom is the message attributed to one in the spirit world. but a hand was seen writing and the words transmitted an intelligent communication. Is psychic precipitation a modern phenomenon? In the world of psychic phenomena, similar manifestations occur today. They are classified as precipitation. Just as in Daniel's day, neither pen nor chalk nor pencil is employed. Rather, the spirit entity concentrates a current of mental and electric force upon some particular substance, a piece of paper, a wall, blackboard, book, piece of clothing. The article chosen must be capable of being electrified by surrounding conditions. Much depends upon the weather conditions. Most people recall instances of coming crackling hair or sliding across a car seat and touching the metal door handle, which causes an electric shock, of removing a garment which clings, saturated as it were with electricity. Has precipitation a scientific basis? So must the surface chosen for precipitation be electrified. Once this is accomplished by the power of their will, those from the higher dimensions of life cause their messages to be physically manifested upon the substance. They employ the principles of electric metallurgy, impressing the writings or pictures upon the substance, such as a camera transmits an image to a chemically prepared surface. The dictionary describes a precipitant as any agent that, when added or applied to a solution, causes a precipitate of one or more of its constituents. It further states that to precipitate means to separate a constituent in a solid form as from a solution, usually by means of heat. Faraday, writing in his Chemical Manipulations, stated that some of the metals are now and then precipitated from their solution in the metallic state by other metals. Thus, silver is thrown down by copper, copper by iron, lead by zinc. We should take full cognizance that equally important as the process by which it is produced is the intelligence of the message behind the precipitation. Regardless how the words are produced, what they say is of paramount importance. If the message received contains knowledge only the claimed sender could know, should not this wondrous message be more important than the process by which it came into being on this plane? The effect of light on spiritual manifestations. The question often is raised as to why a darkened room is necessary for some phases of psychic phenomena. It has been suggested that many occurrences performed in the dark could, if they were true manifestations, be performed equally well in light. It is true that most phases of mental mediumship are performed as well in the light as in the dark. Clairvoyance and clairaudience, for example, but physical phenomena such as manifestations of direct voice and materialization almost always require a darkened room. Although in these lessons we are concerned only with unfolding mental powers and not physical phases of mediumship, nevertheless, it must be stated that when a seeker is attempting the development of mental powers, often one finds a darkened room conducive to one's development. Does light actually affect a chemical change? It is important for us to understand the effect light has on surroundings, even from the standpoint of chemistry. Science readily admits that light is a powerful agent in inducing change. If an iodide of silver is formed in a darkened room, it will differ in a most important degree from that which is formed in a lighted room. If chlorine and olefinic gas are mixed in a glass bottle, they will remain dormant so long as they are kept in darkened surroundings. Exposure to light, however, causes the gases to combine chemically with a loud explosion. If pure chloride of silver is sealed in a glass tube and exposed to light, its white color gradually changes to violet. Removal from light causes its original color to be restored. Light definitely affects thought force as well as various ingredients in chemistry. Thought force is so affected by light that even mental psychic development in its beginning phases should be practiced in darkened or dimmed surroundings. When the faculties for inner sensing and perception are fully developed, such darkening is unnecessary. Light possesses three properties. 1. It renders material bodies visible. 2. It possesses the quality of heat. 3. It possesses the power to induce chemical changes. A room flooded with sunlight permits every object to be easily observed. Another room may be completely dark so far as physical observation is concerned, yet be completely luminous in a chemical sense. It is possible thus to imagine that whereas a room may be completely dark to us, it may be chemically light to those in the higher dimensions, enabling them to better produce their phenomena, or it may remain chemically dark to them, enabling them to produce their own quality of desired spiritual light. Certainly, if light produces heat, it follows that motion is also generated, which may disturb the atmosphere they require for their work. When groups gather for the purpose of developing mental psychic phases, clairvoyance, telepathy, trance, it may be best to dim the room. By what law am I attuned to my guardian angel, guides, and guardian angels? At this point in human evolution on Earth, more and more people are becoming seriously interested in their spiritual progress beyond the teachings of orthodoxy. Those who express such an interest become, by the law of attraction, either knowingly or unknowingly, magnetically attuned to one or more souls in the spiritual dimensions of life. The higher dimensional beings with whom this attunement is made have been known by many names: guardian angel, spirit guide, preceptor, genie, spirit, teacher, and others. Such guardians constitute an order of tremendous importance. These beings are chosen to implement any special work to be shared with Earth. They undergo a very specialized training. Possession of psychic abilities by both the guardian angel and the earthly recipient of its attention obviously enhances the intercommunication between the two. Most Etherian helpers have lived for centuries over there. They evolve from every race, nationality, and culture. Their relationship to the Earth appointee is strongly influenced by a shared sympathy toward the problems to be solved and goals to be gained. A distinction should be made between spirit guardians and spirit guides. All of us have spirit guardians, guardian angels, but all do not have spirit guides unless helping in the performance of a special mission. Usually, those who have such a mission will attract an entire band of workers whose sole purpose is to guide them through the hazards and potentials of such an undertaking. How spirit guides are selected. How is the selection of guides made? The question may be asked, how are spirit guides selected? Selection is primarily a matter of magnetic attraction created by sharing common goals, ideals, missions, and so on. Sometimes the guides are simply discharging a special commission. Often they serve because they are able chemically to supply the ingredients needed to complete any given train of communication between the planes of consciousness. Or sometimes the teachers align themselves with people on Earth because they have a desire to help mold the latter's character. Such a service not only helps the person, but aids the teacher's own spiritual progression. Often they are attracted by pure affinity, loved ones remaining near the people they have left behind on Earth. Often, spirit guides change as the person progresses in his or her own upward climb. Frequently, the spirit guide possessed psychic ability while on Earth. Now, they are even more intuitive and psychic and able to receive intuitive guidance from still higher spheres. It goes without saying that it can be difficult to discover a true psychic on Earth through whom to communicate, although more and more people now are becoming true psychics and are willing to keep their body and their spiritual selves attuned through constant practice and skill development. It still, however, can be difficult to find those who are willing to understand the processes involved or who are willing to give the time for so long a dedicated development to thus serve both planes. More and more are coming into being every day, and this is all to the good of both the higher planes and the earth plane. Distractions. This century, as we know it, isn't exactly the ideal environment for esoteric advancement. Every way you turn, there are other obligations, required activities, and distraction after distraction. The initiates who entered the ancient mystery schools had many advantages over the modern day seeker in terms of environment, responsibilities, and lifestyle. But today, the ancient schools with that type of training would be entirely impractical. That's why the degree lessons exist. We at Astara have taken advantage of the modern age to make important esoteric teachings available to many thousands of seekers. The marvels of modern printing techniques and a reliable system of sending the lessons to seekers, such as yourselves, offers a great practical method of pursuing spiritual evolvement in these modern times. You are the one who can most benefit from this. We've taken advantage of technology, but it's up to you to take advantage of these unique teachings. We congratulate you for your commitment to your spiritual advancement and offer you a glimpse of the next two lessons in your studies. Lesson 12, The How of Automatic Writing, is a journey into the how-to of an important ancient form of communication that is as relevant today to your spiritual development as it was to initiates thousands of years ago. This lesson will give you skills you may use again and again as you travel through the degrees. Lesson 13, Developing Clairaudience and Clairvoyance, is another mini handbook of psychic skills you may learn to understand and use often. Many prior lessons have been given you the basic instructions and background necessary before you embark on these psychic practices and experimentation. You are now ready for this next step in your progression. All right. I love these. So before we end, if you guys are open and ladies are open, we will do a little blessing for the March blessing. Let's go ahead and close your eyes. Keep the tip of the tongue on the palate. Keep your palms facing up. To all on this call, may the light of the infinite being enfold you in its protective aura. May your inner self rise upon its rays to new heights of understanding and accomplishment, to that high place of infinite realization where you and the Mother, Father, God are one. The affirming meditation. Let the finite horizon of life which I now view become resplendent with the new vision of life eternal which lies before me. Let the song celestial become my personal hymn. May these blessings manifest on all levels. May all the souls on this call, all Astarians, be shielded, protected, and blessed in all 8 directions, above and below, by all the elements of fire, of water, of air, of earth, of wood, of steel, all areas. May they be shielded and protected and blessed. May they be surrounded by the pure white light. And may this light turn to gold. Manifest and materialize. Ananda, Ananda, Ananda. Divine bliss. Namaste, precious, precious souls. Thank you so, so much for your devotion and for coming to join us. Obviously, this is recorded, so you can come back and listen to this as many times as you'd like and experiment with the presentations that are here. We'll see you tomorrow for blessing the prayer petitions, and see you Wednesday for the energy blessings and the mystic vibration. Enjoy every moment and know that you never walk alone. And may you be surrounded by the pure white light of unconditional love. Namaste, precious, precious souls. Namaste.